A sinking riverboat filled with zombies and overlooked by a voodoo queen ended up being one of the top rated houses of Halloween Horror Nights 27. This is a complete retrospective of the 2017 haunted house Dead Waters. Unlike most original Halloween Horror Nights haunted houses, the story of Dead Waters doesn't start the year it was created. In fact, we have to go back 3 years to Halloween Horror Nights 24, as Dead Waters was preceded by the 2014 scare zone Bayou of Blood. On August 12, 2014, Universal would announce the new scare zone. The scare zone was located in the Central Park area of Universal Studios on the pathway connecting Hollywood to World Expo. Based in a Louisiana bayou, guests would encounter the Voodoo Queen herself, along with the Voodoo Sorcerer skeletons and masters. The unique thing about the scare zone is that it featured a mini stage show. This show would happen at the start of the night, where the Voodoo Queen would perform a human sacrifice. Which, YouTube disclaimer, this is a horror themed event, and everything that happens here is fake. It's crazy to think that last year people were crowding around for a Megan dance show, and in 2014 guests gathered around for a fake human sacrifice. The times have changed. Let me know if you would be interested in a retrospective on the scare zone Bayou of Blood, because we have a haunted house retrospective to get to and time's ticking. Dead Waters was a part of the Halloween Horror Nights 27 house lineup. Event dates were announced on February 23rd, 2017, which was pretty early as this year's event dates were announced on April 1st. Halloween Horror Nights 27 would last from September 15th to November 4th, 2017, and would feature the following intellectual property houses: American Horror Story, The Shining, Ash vs. Evil Dead, The Horrors of Blumhouse, and Saw, as well as featuring 2 IP scare zones with The Purge and Trick or Treat respectively. Bone would be this year's event's icon, who dedicated scare zone was Festival of the Deadliest and the Hollywood section of the park. However, the most notable attractions at the 2017 event was the final year of the popular stage show Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure, the original haunted house Scarecrow the Reaping, and of course Dead Waters the haunted house. Dead Waters would be announced with the rest of the original houses on August 31st, 2017. 15 days before the first night. Contrast to this year's event where Universal announced all the original haunted houses by the end of May. As mentioned earlier in this video, Dead Waters would be based on the 2014 scare zone Bayou of Blood. The haunted house was held in Soundstage 24, which was first used at Halloween Horror Nights 23 for the Evil Dead house. Starting in 2014, Soundstage 24 would be used for 2 haunted houses rather than 1, with Halloween Horror Nights 27 featuring The Fallen and Dead Waters. The Dead Waters queue started right next to the tribute store, and I forgot to mention earlier that I didn't go to this year's Horror Nights event, so my line queue map is a guess, and if you know the correct route, please let me know in the comments. Anyway, if this queue was similar to more recent Halloween Horror Nights years, guests would start walking in a straight line parallel to the tribute store. They then turn to the left and head straight until approaching the switchback section of the queue. After making it through the switchback section, guests would take a left turn into a covered area where another switchback queue was present. This one's smaller. Finally, the queue ends and the guests enter Soundstage 24 and into Dead Waters. Before we do a house walkthrough, a quick blurb about the haunted house that was found in the Halloween Horror Nights 27 map. Quote, "Enter a pestilent swamp that oozes evil, the hellish realm of the Voodoo Queen. If you fail to escape, you're in for a gut-wrenching sacrifice," end quote. Yeah, for some reason, the blurb that's in the actual announcement video is different than what was on the map. But anyway, let's start the walkthrough of the 2017 Halloween Horror Nights house Dead Waters. Dead Waters was broken into 3 parts: the Sunken riverboat, inside the riverboat, and the Voodoo Queen's lair. Starting with part 1 of the house, guests would enter and they were required to walk through a long hallway like every Soundstage 24 house. In the hallway, guests can hear the Voodoo Queen taunting them as they walk through. "I see that you are more foolish than I thought." Once the guests make it through the entire hallway, they approach the house facade. Before they can even process the facade, a scare actor hidden to the left of them pops out. The facade, however, is a massive half-sunken riverboat and by far is one of the highlights of the haunted house. Across from the riverboat, another hidden scare actor pops out, getting one last scare before the main facade section of the house ends. When guests enter the sunken riverboat, the second part of the house begins. The captain of the ship, who is a zombie, pops out. This house features slanted connected hallways to create the illusion of a sinking ship. It appears as though this is not present in the first room, but I could be wrong. However, this feature is clearly evident in the second room, and the moment guests walk into this room to the right, a zombie named Scarlet pops out in an old dress with a feather hat. Looking back on this, I'm very curious if there was some sort of padding between the scare window to avoid the slant edging of the wall hitting the scare actor when popping out. Towards the end of the slanted hallway, a swamp zombie pops out to the left. After this, guests take a right and then a left in what appears to be pretty empty hallways. In the second hallway, however, there seems to be really tall ceilings, and at the end of the tall hallway, another swamp zombie pops out to the right. The next room, guests walk by a door with a hole in it where a swamp zombie pops out and throws their arm out. After walking by the door with the hole in the middle, another zombie walks out of an open door, and this time they have a name, Samuel Clemens. If that name doesn't ring a bell, Samuel Clemens' pen name is Mark Twain. So yes, the author of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn is a zombie in Dead Waters. The inside of the riverboat section of the house ends with a table filled with voodoo items. Guests exit the riverboat into the wooded area that mimics a Louisiana bayou. This area was filled with zombies and scare actors dressed as bushes who jump out at guests. There also appears to be some zombies who are static dummies, which rooms filled with mannequins and scare actors will always be my favorite because when done right, you don't know what's real and what's fake. After passing through the woods, guests approach a house with a chicken coop outside. A zombie hidden inside the chicken coop has a sliding window they pull open to scare guests. When entering the house, a dual scare occurs. The old shaman pops out to the left and a voodoo doll man pops out at the right. Before walking into the next room, another window door scare occurs at the bottom right of the room. Once guests exit the first room of the voodoo lair, they meet a voodoo lady. She tells guests that she'll pluck their eyes out with a sinister laugh. I'll pluck your eyes out! The next room is the final room of the house where guests finally meet the voodoo queen. She stands on a platform above guests and I believe she's saying your souls is mine. Your souls is mine! While making a stabbing motion. Three masked voodoo doll men pop out at guests as they make it through the rest of the room to exit the haunted house. That is the entire walkthrough of Dead Waters, but I don't think the story ends here. Although not confirmed to be related to Dead Waters and Bayou of Blood, Universal Orlando announced on the Halloween Horror Nights social accounts on July 16, 2024, a new scare zone called Swamp of the Undead. All I'm saying is it's a bit interesting that Dead Waters and Swamp of the Undead are both based in Louisiana and have zombies. Not to mention, based on the construction, it seems as though the scare zone is located in the Central Park area of Universal, just like Bayou of Blood. Do you think Swamp of the Undead is related to Dead Waters, or is Universal really just wanting to bring back a swamps themed scare zone? Let me know in the comments below. Next week's video will be a retrospective on the 2019 Universal Orlando Haunted House Killer Clowns from Outer Space. If that sounds interesting, don't forget to subscribe. In the meantime, you should watch the video showing on your screen now because YouTube thinks you're going to love it.